Time now for the Nick Hart Show. It's presented each week by the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, including A&T Concrete, ADG Architecture and Design Group, Agrigold, All Trade Solutions LLC, AM Transport, Angermeyer Electric, Baker Tax and Financial Services, Brett's Car Care, Country Barns, Nolcon Marketing, Davis Brothers, Daylight Land Management, Daywig Meats of Hobstadt, Diversified Instrument Services, Drosty's Jewelry Shops, DuBois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Duke Energy, the Dunkel Family, Friends of Mason Scheller, Edward Jones Financial Advisor Jason Rainey, Emerson Cattle Company, ERA First Advantage Realty Rodney Langford, Fort Branch Car Wash, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Full Metal Armory, the Grandmothers of Jackson Adams, Hobstadt Family Dentistry, Hobstadt Summerfest, Heritage Federal Credit Union, Heritage Petroleum LLC, Hillside Gardens, Hip Dentistry, Hoosier Pain and Posture, IMI Concrete, Engler Family Eye Care, Jarbo Tax Service, JMCO Technologies, Johnson Commercial Mowing, K&K Excavating Incorporated, Casey Gray, Fuquay State Farm Agent, Kathy Solman Photography, Kiesel Wagner Survey, L&B Boutique, Little Miracles, Lowry Ag, Make Your Mark, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, MyTech Systems, National Vet Help, Perfect Climate Heating and Air, Pole Concrete Construction, by Pro Rehab, Rawhide Golf, Remax Revolution, Ripco Systems, Roberts Boring, Trenching and Excavating, by Sandy's Pizza, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Shearer Monuments, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Stodgel Funeral Home, Stodgel Monuments, by Tim Barge Seed, Tai Chow, Titan Construction Partners, Triad Fabricators, Titan Youth Football League, United Fidelity Bank, Vertical Tile Incorporated, Vicky Townsend FC Tucker Realtor, by Wash Boss, We Simply Clean LLC, Whitledge Tree Service LLC, and by Young's Auto Body. Now, The Nick Hart Show, a special production of the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department and 89.1 The Bash.
Hello and welcome to 89.1 The Bash. We are back again for another football season starting the year here for the Nick Hart Show. Coach Hart had a kind of a, horrible ending to last season. Maybe didn't go the way you wanted. Could have been some things to work on, but here we are. We're back with a new season. Returning quite a few key guys that were a big part of that team last year. Kind of going forward with that, we could talk about the team a little bit. Just first off, let me know a little bit how the offense went for you, or how the off season went for you, and kind of what you guys worked on, what your keys were on improving, and kind of how you built, to get prepared for this week one against, a top Boyle County team from Kentucky.
I think we had a great off season. Our guys, really did a great job of working, all the way through the off season. I thought we had a great year last year. But anytime we lose in the sectional, there's obviously some disappointment there. And, in some years, I think that if you have a good core coming back, it's a great motivator and driving force, for the off season. I think our guys really kind of used that throughout the off season, to keep them motivated as they went through. So, the biggest thing you always want to work on the off season is size or strength and speed and flexibility and those type of things, just becoming a better athlete. And, we did a wonderful job of that, made some great improvements, throughout the team, in those regards. And then, when you get to the summer and you can start doing a little bit more football stuff, you're still doing the strength and speed stuff, but you're adding to it and kind of getting that base level of football stuff in. So, when week one gets here, which it is, you can kind of hit the ground running schematically.
That sounds great. Looking back at this team, what are some expectations you guys have, going forward for this season? What are probably some more things that you're not as worried about, some things you feel like this as a team, you probably need to work on a little more maybe to kind of get you to that, 100% that you're trying to get that perfect team. Yeah, just go ahead with that.
The one thing I'm not worried about is how much our guys care, and how well we're going to compete. I just think it's a group that loves football. They want to continue to get better every single day. I thought last year we kind of hit a plateau in the middle part of the season, and we weren't continuing to get better. I think this group will continue to get better as the season goes through. They just love to compete. They love to play football, and I think it's a great thing. And I think our biggest thing, we got to do through the course of the season, for the second part of your question, is continue to build our depth. I think our 22 starters and some of the rotators we feel pretty good about. There's some spots on our team, where I don't think that we're as deep as we need to be as you go through, and guys are going to kind of get banged up throughout the year. So we got to continue to have some of those younger guys, step up and get to a varsity caliber player. So if it gets to the point where they need to step in and play, they're ready to.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be a test on that week 1 here with Boyle County. Seeing some of these young guys coming right in, they're going to face a tough team, a top team in Kentucky. And, that's going to be that factor. Are they ready? We've prepared for this. All they got to do is just stick to their scouting report, stick to what they're being coached, what they're being taught, and just going, not thinking, just playing. And I think that'll probably help them out a lot. Because I remember my freshman year, I was kind of just thrown out in the ringer, had our starting running back go down, and linebacker going out. First game against Heritage Hills, 180-pound freshman. Their wishbone offense, you've got a defensive end or a tight end, and then 2 fullbacks coming straight at you full steam. So, it's a lot of pressure, especially when you realize how big the game is. Getting to play out at Western Kentucky. So that should be a lot of fun. And, it's going to be interesting being a Saturday game as well. I don't know how many Saturday games you guys play throughout the week or throughout the season. I'm sorry.
We've had some sprinkled through, whether it be, you get to a certain point in the playoffs and you have some drives, you're going to land on some Saturday games. We've played 1 or 2 regular season Saturday games. I think week 1, it's when I was an assistant at Warren Central, we opened up on a Saturday, and Friday is a very lonely feeling in the high school football world, because everybody else is, gearing up and getting ready to go, and you're practicing and then going home. So it's that Friday is a big. It's probably the worst week to have a Saturday game, because you want to get out there and play. But no, I think it's good. It gives us another day of prep this week, and and then what's not thought about, we got to turn around after a tough game and get ready for a really good Mount Carmel team on a short week as well. So we got to do a good job of kind of taking care of our bodies as we go through this couple week deal here.
Yeah, one thing I've really liked that you started to do, I know you started to do it, taking on some, tougher teams, kind of away from the SIC, away from the PAC, away from some of the conferences around here, get you to travel a little bit, get you to, get the feel for it before you're kind of, shipped off almost 2 hours, maybe on, week 1 of sectionals or week 2 of sectionals, even that championship. So, kind of talk to me about how, the traveling, getting going, these first couple games, moving around, how that kind of benefits the team looking forward throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think we always kind of want to take one trip. That 2 to 3 hour trip. Just it's next year, our week 1, we're going to open up at Danville. So you just to get that one trip. So when you get to the playoffs, you've done that before with where we're located. Whether it's the sectional, the regional, something you're going to have to make a trip in the playoffs. And So if you've already done it, I think it makes it, a lot more manageable to do. And it's also a lot easier to do, when the weather's cool. So, I think being able to do that is a huge benefit. And, just playing the teams that we get to play here, I think, what a great opportunity. One thing we've kind of talked about the whole off season is how many teams in America can say that they get to open up in a Division I stadium against a three-time defending state champ. There's very few, if there are any. So, where you have both of those things happening. So it's a very unique experience. Something we're excited for it. And as you continue to look at our schedule and the teams that we're playing, like, you want to play these games because your margin for error is small. If you go out and you schedule wins, you have a bigger margin for error. I can be a 3 technique and get scooped. I can be a safety and take a false step and probably get away with it. We're not going to get away with those things here in the first few weeks of our schedule. And that's why we want those challenges. So you see athletes, and I know we'll talk about Boyle County more as we come up, but number 5 for Boyle County, like, we're not going to go against a better athlete, a better football player the entire year. So, getting to go against people like him, when now I felt like there was times kind of like with our old schedule before the conference split and we had some freedom, we could get overwhelmed athletically a little bit. The stuff that we haven't seen, now with what we're allowed to do with our schedule when we advance in the tournament, there's not a lot that we haven't seen.
Yeah, I think, it was kind of tough when the PAC was all together because, there's, 9-10 teams. You get 9-10 games a season before the playoffs start. And I know I don't want to be offensive saying this, but I know, looking back through my high school career, and I'm sure it's the same with you, there's just, for some of these teams, there's just a pretty big gap. But, also some of these teams are excelling a lot better in basketball and baseball and wrestling, kind of all the sports as a conglomerate. And football is just not their sport. But being able to see that talent and just not running into the same guys you play every year kind of just helps, spice up the season a little bit, make it a little more fun for the kids, getting to go out and kind of see different areas, different schools, different teams, different athletes. I think that's just really great, and it helps develop character, not just character, even sportsmanship, but just I guess the demeanor in a football player's mind, kind of showing them that this is meant to be fun, but we still got to treat it like it's a business almost, in a sense, taking care of the details, being professional about it, but all in all, at the end of it, having a good time about it.
Yeah, and I think one thing that kind of gets overlooked, with when you play a difficult schedule, is one thing is it doesn't guarantee success. We played a lot tougher schedule than Owen Valley last year, and they beat us in the playoffs. So that does, playing a good schedule doesn't make you good. But I think what it can do, especially if you handle things the right way, the thing that probably doesn't get talked about enough is the way you have to prepare each week. There's some games, and these are going to happen in high school football. I don't care what conference you're in, where there's just you're better than somebody, and the kids know you're better than somebody. It doesn't matter how much you preach it. You're not going to have as good a week of practice as if you're playing, somebody that has the same talent level as you. So I think, with what we've been able to do with our non-conference schedule, all these games are challenges. Like, we have to, if we don't have a good week of practice this week and we're not dialed in and we're not in the scouting report and we're not prepared for Boyle County, like, we're going to have a very long Saturday, for the Titan fans and players and coaches and everybody else. We have to have a great week this week and be dialed into every detail that's going on in order to have a chance for success on Saturday. And so, I think that how you prepare each week, and then that kind of sets a tone. And that's why we want kind of our schedule front loaded. It sets the tone for how we need to practice throughout the year. Because we have to, you have to be prepared, because the margin for error is small. And I think that makes you a better football team.
All right, we'll go ahead and take a break after that. When we get back, we'll get talking about this offense for the season, kind of what we can expect going forward, and who's going to be these top dogs from Gibson Southern. Um, Give us a second from our ads. We'll get right back to you on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash is made possible by Full Metal Armory, the Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Car Wash, ERA, First Advantage Realty, Rodney Langford, Emerson Cattle Company, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Jason Rainey, the Dunkel Family, Friends of Mason Scheller, Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Drosty's Jewelry Shops, Diversified Investment Services, Daywig Meats of Hobstock, Daylight Land Management, Davis Brothers, Country Barns, Nolcon Marketing, Brett's Car Care, Baker Tax and Financial Services, Angermeyer Electric, AM Transport, All Trade Solutions LLC, AgriGold, ADG Architecture and Design Group, and by A&T Concrete.
Welcome back to 89.1 The Bash. I'm here with Coach Hart for the Nick Hart Show. We got to talking about, the offseason, kind of looking at a little bit of expectations of going forward throughout the season and what we can, how can we get better? How can we be prepared? Got a great game coming up for the first week. But let's go ahead and get talking about the team a little bit. Let's go ahead and hear Coach Hart tell us about your offense.
Yeah, I think we got two all-state guys back on the offensive side, and I think that's where it kind of starts with Tanner Boyd at quarterback, and Sean DeLong is a slot running back. He'll primarily be running back this year. But those two guys, Michael Heron returns in the slot. He had a great year for us last year. Other skill position wise, right now, Max Wilson would have been one of our outside receivers. He's out with an injury. So we're going to take two defensive guys in platoon. One of those outside receiver spots with Mason Scheller and Zach Foster coming over from the defensive side. And then some other guys that you'll see playing outside are Cam Novotny, Maddox Potts, Noah Keister, Seth Parsons, Lloyd Sellers, Grant Stinson in the slot. And then up front, I think we returned three starters up front from last year's team, and that's a pretty good core of guys coming back. Tegan Baker at center, Jackson Adams at right tackle. And then we've moved Spencer Staggs. He was a guard last year. He's out at left tackle for us. So Blake Olm will be the left guard, and then the right guard we still kind of have a battle going on between Bobby Robinson and Kylan Eads. So we've got six guys there that we think are varsity capable. Three of them have started every game last year. So it's a good group up front. I think we'll kind of continue to grow as even the Stags kid, he started as a freshman, so he's only a sophomore. So you have the potential to have depending on what happens at right guard, either three sophomores and two seniors, or two sophomores, a junior and two seniors on the field at the same time. So even though there's some experience there is some youth where we kind of got to grow as we go through the season. And it's so important to be good up front, and I think those guys were so much better than we were at this point in June or July. They've continued to improve and get better, and I think it says a lot about them. I think it says a lot about our D-line. Our D-line forced them to continue to get better throughout the summer and stuff, but it's a group that we're excited about.
Yeah, it's great to hear, seeing some of those. I know Scotty DeLong, big shout out to him. He was able to give me some, he said, worthless stats. But I felt like, it would have spent me, probably a good couple months to find a lot of this information when I start searching through it. But he said something about his son possibly breaking the all-purpose yard record, which could be real big for him. I kind of talk about him and as an athlete, and we could talk about Tanner Boyd as well. Probably looks like these are going to be some of the offensive leaders here, kind of what your expectations are. Well, not even offense, just team leaders, but kind of what your expectations going for a couple of these guys, these seniors.
Yeah, I think Tanner, he had a great junior year. He really is, kind of that dual threat guy and gets us back to, running a lot of the stuff that we've always run out of the gun. We're running the football and reading guys. And, he's a tremendous decision maker back there. We put a lot on him, whether it's the run game, the pass game, the RPO game. There's a lot on him. He's making a lot of decisions on where the football needs to go, and he does a wonderful job of it. Sean is tremendous talent, and I think even better is, he's a guy that's just kind of bounced around and filled the need for us because he is so talented. Like his freshman year, he played a lot of varsity at the slot. His sophomore year, he played running back. His junior year, he played slot and running back and some defense. This year he's back primarily at running back. So just obviously very talented to be able to do all those things, but also very selfless and team oriented. Just going where he fits in best with our team. I think that says a lot about him as a kid and what he's going to do. To help the team out. So yeah, those two guys are leaders for us for sure. Also, I think that the two seniors on the O line, Tegan Baker and Jackson Adams, those guys are kind of our leaders up front. Sean and Tanner with the skill group, and Michael Herron is a guy who had a great year last year for us in the slot as well. He has great speed. He catches the ball well. He's a guy that we can kind of move around and do some different things with. I think he'll also, he's in line to have another great year and be a big contributor on Friday nights.
So, yeah, and then, well, my last question before we move on to defense and special teams. Where was I going with this? What kind of here we go. What kind of formation do you guys basically going to be running? I know you said a lot of run and gun, some RPOs. You've definitely got the speed in the backfield. So you thinking trying to go kind of maybe some jet sweeps, maybe some sweeps, some tosses, take it to the outside. But I mean, also you've got those seniors inside on the offensive line that are going to help open everything up too. So what it really seems like is you guys had pretty much free reign on whatever you want to do on offense here. So
yeah, I think everything you can kind of do to try and keep teams balanced. I think obviously Sean has good speed and stuff. He reads our inside zone stuff about as well as anybody I've ever coached. And what we ask running backs to read there and how he can read it on the fly. He does a wonderful job of running the inside zone, and that's always kind of been our bread and butter running play. So, a lot of stuff built off of that and, how we want to do. And we obviously, play with some tempo and want to go fast. And, because we are close to platooned, for 3A school, we think it gives us a big advantage to play fast and wear down some teams that they're playing a lot of guys both ways.
Yeah, it sounds great. Really looking forward to this offense. Saw how explosive they were last year, and with everyone kind of coming together, I think it's only going to be even better this year. But we'll go ahead and take another break here. When we come back, we will get to know this defense and this special teams. Just give us a short break. We'll be right back on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by National Vet Help, by Tech Systems, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, Make Your Mark, Lowry Ag, Little Miracles, L&B Boutique, Kiesel Wagner Survey, Kathy Solman Photography, Casey Gray, Fuquay State Farm Agent, K&K Excavating Incorporated, Johnson Commercial Mowing, JMCO Technologies, Jarbo Tax Service, Engler Family Eye Care, IMI Concrete, Hoosier Pain and Posture, Hip Dentistry, Hillside Gardens, Heritage Petroleum LLC, Heritage Federal Credit Union, Hobstadt Summerfest, Hobstadt Family Dentistry, and by the grandmothers of Jackson Adams.
Welcome back here on the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash. Been a great segment so far. Got to know a little bit about the team, how the offseason went. Got to talk about some offensive starters. Talk about some of the top guys from the leaders and what we kind of expect going forward. But now here we go. We'll get started with the defense. Let's go ahead and hear from the defense now.
Yeah, it's a group we're really excited about. I think kind of said in some other interviews how we're excited for this defense and what they can do, and maybe some some local TV people kind of blew that up to a historic defense. I'm not quite sure that we're there, but it's a group that we're excited about. On that side of the ball, I think up front, you return Brody Clem, who's a All-Stater as a freshman last year. He's very disruptive. If we would have continued, if we won a couple more games, probably would become this broke his brother's record, for single seasons, tackle for a loss. And, as a freshman, that's really impressive. Eli Dodge, Brayton Reinhardt, Nick Agee, Devin Berger up front as well. That group, we'd like to get a little deeper there. But that group's done a great job throughout the summer and the beginning part of camp here, being a very disruptive group and causing a lot of problems on the line of scrimmage, for our offense and other teams as well. So I think that's a group, it really starts up front. I think in this day and age of football, we like to throw the ball around and stuff, but the line of scrimmage is still where games are won and lost. And we think that group's pretty good. All those guys are really strong, and it's probably the strongest D-line unit we've had, and I think they all run pretty well. So a good combination of size and speed, or strength and speed up front. We're probably not the biggest D-line, but speed and size, or speed and strength, is definitely the strong suit of our D-line. And linebacker, Bo Rose is back this year. He moves from our Sam linebacker to our Mike linebacker. His brother Jack Rose will be the Will, and Connor Shear will be the Sam. So it's a good group. Again, guys that run well. I think they can play sideline to sideline, and do a lot of great things out of our defense. Bo was an all-conference guy last year at Sam, before moving into Mike. In the DBs, a lot of experience back there. Gabe Bryant started last year, before an injury. Mason Scheller was a returning starter. Zach Foster's a returning starter. And then the fourth DB will be Waylon Finney. So I think three of those four guys have played a lot of varsity football, and done a great job, in the secondary. And I think, those guys returning that experience has really kind of allowed us to become a little bit more multiple in what we're doing in the secondary, and just helping us have a few more tools in the toolbox going into Friday nights as opposed to what we had, what we could carry into games last year.
Yeah, and I know with having a big interior on that defensive line, it always helps, whichever way the play's going. The biggest thing I feel like is can a defensive tackle take on a double team? And, it's not that they have to blow through and make the play, but at least being able to hold it to a stalemate to keep that line from Denton finding that running back to, be able to find that hole and bust through it. I think being able to have a strong interior, we've talked, I always talked about it growing up. I'm sure you say it too. offensive line and defensive line, they're God's children. They're the angels that are helping everyone else on the field make all these plays, get all these highlights, and they just sit back humbly and just enjoy everyone, being able to continue to produce. So, always got to give a big shout out to the offensive defensive lines on every team.
Yeah, I mean that's you're going to win and lose games up front. I know everybody gets excited to watch you throw touchdown passes or get interceptions and all that's great, but it all starts up front. If you don't have protection in time to throw touchdown passes or you don't have a pass rush getting to the quarterback, you're probably not going to have a chance for the interception. So we try and spend a lot of time and developing those guys as they come through the program. Obviously, we try and develop everybody, but there's a big emphasis on the offensive and defensive linemen, and really trying to make sure that we get those guys, developed as they come through, so we can get the most out of them, technique wise, strength wise, all those type of things, because those positions are so important.
Yep. So great to hear from the defense there. Really excited. I think I'm more excited for the defense than the offense. I know how explosive the offense is, but I've always been a big fan of defense. I love playing running back, but I really enjoy playing linebacker. So defense holds a special spot in my heart. Let's go ahead and hear about what we've got going forward this season with the special teams.
Yeah, special teams. I think Cam Novotny returns. He had a great year for us as a sophomore, as our place kicker. He did a great job throughout the year. Extra points, field goals, kickoffs. Very very good. He also returns as the punter. He was the punter last year. So, anytime you're returning those guys, that's always good. We got Michael Herron. Did a good job returning kicks for us last year. He's back. Sean DeLong returned punts for us last year. He's back. So we return a lot of those guys that have experience doing that stuff. Tegan Baker and Bobby Robinson have worked really hard on their long snapping here in the off season. So we lost our long snapper from last year. Those guys have done a good job of working hard to become reliable in that part of the kicking game. It takes such an operation. I think that's why at the NFL level you got guys that their only job is to be a long snapper or a kicker or punter. Punters hold, and they have a lot of money invested in those three guys because that operation is so important, and you can't have hiccups in it. It can cost you a ball game. So returning everybody except for the long snapper, I think is great. We spend a lot of time on special teams, and I think again, we kind of talk about being platooned. I think that's a time that if teams that are playing guys both ways, that's a time they're trying to get them off the field. One of being platooned is we feel like we can play a lot of our starters on special teams, and have them involved there. It's so important. We've been on both sides of it. We lost a sectional one year, because of our punt team. We gave up 2 big punt returns in the fourth quarter, and it ended up costing us the game. We've been on the side where our special teams have won us games. So it's so important. We try and spend a lot of time on it, because it's a neglected part of football, or it can be, I guess I should say, is the special team side, and we got some really good guys coming back for us there.
Yeah, we always refer to it as the one play warrior. Not so much now as it is, considering sizes of teams. A lot of your, top guys got to be out there for that one play, a kickoff return, a punt return, a punter, a kick. Just one quick play like that, a 10-second play can completely change the tide of the game, completely get things going for that team, rather it be yourselves or the opposing team, can completely shift the momentum in 10 seconds. People don't view it as such an important aspect of the game, but like I said, 6 points can happen in the snap of a finger. So always good to really refine and hone the skills for special teams. And just another thing, I had a teammate in high school, Curso Risky, good friend of mine, full ride scholarship to Eastern Michigan to long snap. I think altogether, including, um, you know, insurance, kind of if any injuries happened, his meal plan, his school, his athletics, through all 4 years, it added up to be, a $1.5 million scholarship in value. So really goes to show you how important these special teams are and, why, there's so much value in them for just, 10 seconds, 3 to 4 times happening in a game. Um, but yeah, I'd love to hear from the special teams. Really excited for everything that's going to happen this year. Got anything else you want to comment on, Coach Hart?
No, I think those special teams guys, I think, the biggest time that special teams show up is, early in the year. Obviously, your operation's probably not as good as it's going to be late in the year. I think early in the year, special teams probably decide more games than any part of the year. So, it's a big for us heading into these first couple of weeks to have a great operation in our kicking game.
All right, with that, we will go ahead and take another break here. When we get back, we'll kind of talk about week one expectations. We've kind of mentioned it a little bit, but really get to talking about Boyle County, what we need to work on to, handle a team like that. Top team in the state of Kentucky. But we will take a quick break here and we will get right back. Thank you for listening on 89.1 The Bash.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by Perfect Climate Heating and Air, Pole Concrete Construction, Pro Rehab, Rawhide Golf, Remax Revolution, Ripco Systems, Roberts Boring, Trenching and Excavating, Sandy's Pizza, Scheller's Carriage Inn, Shearer Monuments, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Stodgel Funeral Home, Stodgel Monuments, Timbarge Seed, Tai Chow, Titan Construction Partners, Triad Fabricators, TYFL, United Fidelity Bank, Vertical Tile Incorporated, Vicki Townsend FC Tucker Realtor, Wash Boss, We Simply Clean LLC, Whitledge Tree Service LLC, and by Young's Auto Body.
Hello and welcome. This is 89.1 The Bash here with your Nick Hart Show. I'm here with Coach Hart. But week one, Boyle County, we talked earlier, won their 3 last state championship titles in Kentucky in 4A. Going to be the top team in 4A in their division. They are the number 7 team in the state of Kentucky. An exceptional team on paper. They got a lot of guys coming back. Lost a few guys that were pretty beneficial in some positions, but Saturday, 5 p.m., August 19th at Western Kentucky. What's kind of your what are your thoughts on this team kind of going forward? What to expect from them, kind of what you guys are working on or got in the books to kind of keep an eye out on some players and everything.
Yeah, they're a tremendous football team, and which is obvious. When you sign up to play a team that's won 3 straight state championships, it's not a surprise when you turn on some tape and they're pretty darn good. But it's a great game for us. It's a great challenge. I think this is a game. And obviously there's a lot of factors that have to go into this. And I say this with the utmost respect. This is a team that I'd love to play week one every year. They're very similar in size to us. They have 850 kids, so they're about 100 kids bigger than us. A top-notch program. They're well coached. They've got phenomenal athletes. It is a great opening game for us. We are going to have to play at an exceptionally high level to win the football game. And we're going to walk out of there on Saturday, and we're going to know where we're at. We're going to know if guys can play. We're going to know what we need to get better at. We're going to know what we can't do. A lot of times you don't find that out until middle of the year, late in the year. Sometimes you find out in the playoffs. We're going to have a really good idea week one. I think these guys have obviously won 3 state championships in a row. Those are the type of teams I want to play in the non-conference. Like you're going to see where you're at. Like if you want to win a state championship, okay, and if you're going to have to beat teams like this or somewhat similar to this. Now, if we win on Saturday, it doesn't mean we're going to win a state championship, and if we lose, it doesn't mean we're going to lose a state championship. This is just a great measuring stick for us and where we need to be, where we're at, and where we need to get. And I think challenging yourself, like people forget, the year we won the state championship, we went to South Warren and we got running clocked. That's okay. And you go back and look at the history of the 3A state champions. Okay, I think it's been a while since I counted it up. I think there's like 2 in the past 15 years that have been undefeated state champions. Okay, it just doesn't happen very much because you got to go out and play people and challenge yourself, to play at that level. So, and Boyle County definitely fits that. I have a lot of respect for them and the way they play and what they do. I think when you look at them offensively, it starts with the Quisenberry kid, number 5. He's phenomenal. He's got multiple Power 5 offers, including an offer from Michigan, but just extremely dynamic football player. We have to know where he's at. They do a good job of moving him around and getting him the ball in a variety of ways. So we have to know where he's at and make sure we're identifying him correctly. They've got a lot of good football players, so I don't want to leave anybody out, but like the quarterback and running back are both tremendous football players. They're going to be seniors. We're a big part of their state championship team last year. I think that they've got a good group up front. They do a really good job. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They're going to run a lot of formations, give you a bunch of different looks. That's kind of them on offense in a nutshell. And then, defensively, the little we got to see from, they did some different things last year. The little we traded with them from the scrimmages on Friday night. It looks like they're going to be more of a 4-man front. Again, just a lot of dudes. The quarterback and number 5, who are both D1 guys, flip over and play defense. They're Mike's, a junior that's got Power 5 offers. You got 2 or 3, I guess 3 or 4 Division I guys on the defensive side of the ball. And again, just really well coached. They fly the football. They have a lot of speed. Whether it's their offense or defense, we're not going to take off our football cleats and get in a track meet with them. That would not turn out well for us.
Yeah.
They have a lot of team speed, and again, I think there's a lot of times in our schedule as we go through that we are the bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic team. There's going to be a time in the season, whether it's in your conference, in the sectional, in the regional, in the semi-state, at some point you're going to run into somebody where you're not the biggest, fastest, strongest, more athletic team. We get to run into that week 1. We are not going to be the most athletic team on the field on Saturday. And I think that's fine. We're not, it's not a track meet. We're not going to have a 100-yard dash. We've got to do kind of the message to our kids. We got to do everything else better than them. We have to execute better than them. We have to do everything else. Our margin for error is smaller. And that's great. That's why you want to play these games and put yourself in those type of positions. But no, I just have a lot of respect for them. Obviously, 3 straight state championships, says it all. But not only do they have a lot of good football players, they're well coached. They do things. They do things well. They put you in binds. There's a lot to it that obviously you got to have all those pieces to be a 3-time defending state champ. But a lot of respect for them, and it's a game that's great for us. So that we'd like to continue to find games like this. Similar size school that's had a lot of success, and I think you can kind of get a good measuring stick on where you're at.
Yeah, I was watching some clips this past weekend, got a little bit to watch from their state game against, I believe it was Corbin, something
Hmm.
Corbin. But was a close game. They pulled it out in the end. Um, you know, watching them run the ball, they had, I think, three guys in the backfield. You mentioned the quarterback. I think number 10 was another number, and I want to say
Yes.
their third running back. He may have graduated, but I could be wrong on that. But all three of those guys could run the ball exceptionally well. Quick, got great footwork. It's going to be a big test for the defense. But like we mentioned earlier, um, that defensive line is going to be really what sets the tone against this offense. The more they can create, some dents in that line, it's going to make it a little more difficult for that offense for Boyle County to really find that open field and make those big moves and make those big plays and show off that speed. So, what's
Yeah.
kind of your what's your plans with the defense here going forward for week one to kind of contain this offense?
I think there's two things that we have to try and accomplish to have success. And I've talked about, and maybe I should have waited till after this week. I talked about how good I think we have a chance to be defensively. Um,
Mhm.
this is probably one of the best offenses we've gone against since I've been here. So it's a test right out of the gate. If you look at them last year, they scored a lot of points against everybody.
Yeah.
So I think two things. I think the first thing we've got to do when you look at us and you look at them, we got to limit the home runs.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know if we can say. I don't know if we can say not give up home runs. We got to limit the home runs. They're going to hit some big plays. They're too talented not to. We got to try and limit them. Keep them in front of us. Make them snap the football again. Limit the big plays and make them. Not that they're not capable, because they're a good football team, but we got to make them try and drive the ball down the field and not hit home runs. And then, when you're not as fast as somebody, right, the equalizer is the red zone. So, if we make them drive the football and the field shortens, then you can kind of play things a little bit differently and get after them a little bit more. So I think the first thing is limit the home runs. The second thing is, try and get them off schedule. They do execute at a high level. If you can win first down and get them in 2nd and 12, or get a good pass rush where you get a holding and you get them in 1st and 20. Getting them off schedule. Again, to another advantage. So I think those are the two things we got to try and do. First and foremost, we got to limit the home runs.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is if we can force them off schedule, get them into some more true passing type of situations. And not that their quarterback's not capable of passing, but as and when they're passing and you can kind of gear up your pass rush and you can dictate the coverage to be a little less concerned with the run, you got a better chance of success for getting stops, kind of putting them in that one-dimensional mode. So those are two keys for success for us on Saturday is limit the home runs, and then trying to get them off schedule as far as getting first downs.
And a great week to do it. Week one, you've got a top team like this. They're obviously they had an off season as well. They're coming into this season just the same as you guys. So there is that opportunity. Just like us, they might have some jitters. They could make some mistakes, and that could be if we excel as well and stick to our cues. Those mistakes they make could be those big plays that turn in Gibson Southern's favor coming into the game. So, there's a lot that could happen here, especially it being week one. It is a test. You're still getting out the jitters, but at the same time, we're here. It's football. I think I might be more excited than all you guys, and that is saying a lot. But really, really looking forward to the season. Looking forward to be back in the PAC. Not that I hated the SIAC, but kind of my home roots. I have a better feel other than kind of this conference change that's happened, 3-4 years back. Now that we have the PAC split up, still kind of working my kinks through that, getting that all figured out, but it's really not too bad. But But before we kind of finish up, let's get a little bit from the defense, going forward, or from the offense, my apologies. Going forward, this great Boyle County defense, where do you plan to attack, and what's kind of the scheme you're going forward with your offense this week?
Yeah, I know this is a little bit of coach talk because it's kind of the opposite of what I said what we need to do to them, but we just got to stay on schedule. I think, if we can stay on schedule, that allows us to kind of keep them off balance and not force us into true passing situations. If we're ahead of schedule, if we're living in 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 4, that's great for us, to put together drives. And again, we're not going to win a track meet. Not that we can't pop something. If we pop the top, throwing the football, our home runs are going to be limited, because when we do pop something, there's a good chance that they can run us down. So we're going to have to put together drives, and kind of earn everything that we get. And so I think the execution, becomes really high. And, even if we're not scoring, we got to flip the field. I think when we played South Warren a couple years ago, and kind of took it on the chin, down at their place, we didn't flip the field early. We gave them a lot of short fields, and, it kind of got away from us quick. So, even if we're not scoring, if we pick up a few first downs, flip the field, punt it, get them pinned deep and make them go the length of the field. That's something that we've got to do to have a chance to succeed.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. Well said. Really excited for this season coming up. Really looking forward. Like I said, I've got some family on the team. I've got a cousin, Braden Reinhardt. He's my second cousin, playing defensive tackle. Big brute of a kid. Really looking forward to see how he turns out this year. But week 1, Gibson Southern versus Boyle County, Saturday, August 19th, 5 p.m. It is going to be the same Central Time, so you don't have to worry about a time change or anything, I believe.
Correct.
Looking real forward to it. Going to be out at the Western Kentucky Football Stadium. Going to be a great site to play at. Always fun playing at a college field. Really looking forward to it. And that's all for the week 1 of the Nick Hart Show. Don't forget, Saturday, August 19th, Gibson Southern versus Boyle County, 5 p.m. at Western Kentucky. Going to be a great one. Going to be a test, and it's going to be a lot of fun on 89.1 The Bash.
Thanks for listening to the Nick Hart Show. It's a special presentation of the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, including Young's Auto Body, Whitledge Tree Service LLC, We Simply Clean LLC, Wash Boss, Vicky Townsend FC Tucker Realtor, Vertical Tile Incorporated, United Fidelity Bank, TYFL, Triad Fabricators, Titan Construction Partners, Tai Chow, Tin Barge Seed, Stodgel Monuments, Stodgel Funeral Home, by Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Shearer Monuments, Scherer's Carriage Inn, Sandy's Pizza, Roberts Boring, Trenching, and Excavating, Ripco Systems, by Remax Revolution, Rawhide Golf, Pro Rehab, Pole Concrete Construction, Perfect Climate Heating and Air, National Vet Help, MyTech Systems, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, and by Make Your Mark, Lowry Ag, Little Miracles, L&B Boutique, Kiesel Wagner Survey, Kathy Salmon Photography, Casey Gray Fuquay State Farm Agent, K&K Excavating Incorporated, Johnson Commercial Mowing, JMCO Technologies, by Jarbo Tax Service, Engler Family Eye Care, IMI Concrete, Hoosier Pain and Posture, by Hip Dentistry, Hillside Gardens, Heritage Petroleum LLC, Heritage Federal Credit Union, by Hobstadt Summerfest, Hobstadt Family Dentistry, the Grandmothers of Jackson Adams, Full Metal Armory, the Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Car Wash, ERA First Advantage Realty Rodney Langford, Emerson Cattle Company, by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Jason Rainey, the Dunkel Family Friends of Mason Scheller, by Duke Energy, Du Bois County Garage Doors Incorporated, Drosty's Jewelry Shops, Diversified Investment Services, Daywig Meats of Hubstock, Daylight Land Management, Davis Brothers, Courtney Barnes, Nolcon Marketing, Brett's Car Care, Baker Tax and Financial Services, Angermeyer Electric, AM Transport, All Trade Solutions LLC, AgriGold, ADG Architecture and Design Group, and by A&T Concrete. The Nick Hart Show, a special sports production of the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department, and your home for the Titans, 89.1 The Bash.